Hey, thank you so much. I call this meeting to order. Strategic Planning Committee, Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. We get a roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Cover.
Thank you. Here.
Member Cahill.
Here.
Member Krajewski is absent. Member LaPlante. Absent. Member Rutledge.
Here.
And Member Yu.
Here.
All right, we have 4 present. That's 4.
Thank you. Moving along to public comment. Pursuing the county board rules, all electronic public comments that were submitted to the board have been sent out to the committee via email. They will be included in the minutes from reference. I don't believe we have any public comment in the room today physically. Is that correct?
No, we don't.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Chairwoman's remarks. My remarks will be brief, as today we are thrilled to have our team from Barry Dunn here to discuss the strategic plan. Before we get to their presentation, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you to all my fellow members, our staff, and the members of the public who have engaged in the strategic planning process. I believe that we are in a good place, and today's presentation will include commentary from all stakeholders. Moving on to the minutes. With that, I would accept a motion on Tuesday, October 17, 2023, Special Call Strategic Planning Committee meeting. All in favor? Aye. And that passes. All right, moving on to informational. I would like to turn it over to Jason and the Barry Dunn team to give today's presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know Michelle Kennedy is online. Michelle, do you want to do your video or whatnot?
Hello.
I think you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yep, I just unmuted.
Perfect. So just before we let Michelle, and Michelle, is Karen joining us or is she still working?
No, it's just going to be me today.
Perfect. Okay, just double checking. So let me real quick give a little background real quick and I'll turn it to Michelle. I'll be very quick. We have worked together in the past 4 or 5 months to work with staff, your guys' commentary as well as the public's. What you see, this presentation has all of that. They'll give you a little bit more of that background, but very excited where we're at, and we're close to the finish line. So very excited. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle Kennedy.
Good morning. Welcome to our opportunity to review the strategic plan. I know it's been a while since we met with you, but we've been working really hard, as Jason said, to get this plan to the place that it is. So I'm going to, if it's okay with you, share my screen and walk you through the strategic plan, excuse me, with a couple of minutes spent on reminding you all of the process that we went through to get to this point. So I'm going to share my screen and, Jason, you'll need to put screen sharing on for me.
Sure, not a problem. We're working to do such.
Okay, great.
Just 1 second, sorry guys.
Getting a drink of water. I've been speaking quite a bit this last couple of days.
Sorry, slight technical issue. We'll get there.
That's okay.
Because I made him jeans. I gotta get the house back. Okay. Yeah.
I signed up to go.
Welcome. Welcome.
I think I've been there.
Just in time. Yes, just in time.
My high school kids and stuff like that. So I've been
Cindy, I think you're good. You're going to be good. regardless.
11:30 was my drop dead,
That's fine.
so I stay a few minutes. Thank you. Waiting for a screen share. We're waiting for screen share.
Presentation.
Do you have another one of those?
I do not. He might have one.
Do we have an extra? Jason, you got another? You know what? You could have mine.
Oh, Jason's got one.
Oh, yes, I can get you a copy right here. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Does anyone else need a physical copy of the presentation? Including our individuals in the back row?
Would you like a copy?
Yeah, hey, Michelle, while we're doing this, do you want to kind of just talk about maybe our background, where we've come from, and we can skip through those slides?
Absolutely. So as a starting point, just wanting to make sure that everyone understands what a strategic plan is. So the bottom line is it describes where the county wants to go, what it wants to become. It's not about the how. We're going to help the county with an implementation plan that will support the progress on the strategic plan. But this is the articulation of the vision and the overarching goals for the county that should drive all of the county's decision making around the budget, around long-range investments, around economic and community development, county services, all of those things. And what we hope for, and what we're going to set the county up for, is that the strategic plan is a tool for transparency and accountability. Once you lay out the course that you want to take, then you can let the community know, residents, taxpayers, all of your stakeholders and constituents, how the county is progressing on that plan, how it's making an impact in the community, and how it's making the community a better place. So that's the purpose of a strategic plan. And it's really great to be at this point where all of that is articulated in the document that I'm about to show you. Part of the approach that I want to share with you is that we had three major components to how we built this plan. We started with the community by getting input from stakeholders, by getting input from residents, and trying to involve them in identifying priorities for the county and also developing a vision for the future. I think I can share my screen now if I'm reading that correctly. Hang on just a second. Yeah, I think it's good. All right, I'm going to share the screen, my screen and the slide that I just started talking about. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we began with the community, as I said. We put all of that input and shared it in an environmental scan, which we used, and it's been a few months ago now, in our initial planning work with the county board. And we worked through a mission and a vision for the county, a set of guiding principles, and some strategic priorities and goals that were kind of the broad brush overarching direction. Then we took all of that work and we shared it with the county's leadership team, all of the department directors, and they worked on taking all the brainstorming the board did and developing it further, refining the work of the board, also developing strategic objectives, which are actually actions, very specific measurable actions that the county will take to achieve the vision, and also performance measures that allow you to measure your progress. So what you're going to see today is the conglomeration of all of that work into this draft that we think is in a really good state for you to review and also to take to the board. These are all the sources that informed the strategic plan. We had interviews, we had a virtual engagement platform, we had a survey, we used economic and demographic data. All of these pieces came together in an environmental scan, and these were the major themes that showed up in that environmental scan. And you can see the themes were similar between the survey and the comments that we received on the virtual engagement platform, as well as the stakeholder interviews and the community forums that we conducted as part of the process. And one of the themes that came through very strongly in our like in-person and interviews with people in the community is that they really think that DuPage County is a great place to live, and they want you to keep doing the things that have made it a great place to live. So continue on with what you're doing, and then see what you can do to address housing options and make things affordable for people in the community. See what you can do to increase transit, make transportation better. See what you can do around maintaining the very safe community that you have, and that is not just perceived as safe, but truly is safe when you look at the data. And then acknowledge that your community is becoming increasingly diverse and addressing that, as well as the environment. So those were the things that collectively, through all of those different data channels, people identified. So before I show you these things, I want to draw some distinctions and help everybody understand what a mission, a vision, and guiding principles are. The mission is your reason for existing. It's the purpose of the county. It talks about what you want to accomplish. It answers the question, why do we exist as a county government, and what do we do for this community? The vision defines the future state. Where do you want to go? What do you want to look like and feel like in the future as a community? And then the guiding principles are the precepts that guide your organization. They communicate to the community how you will conduct your business, and it lays out expectations for employees of DuPage County so that they understand how they are to go about doing the work and pursuing the vision that's articulated in the strategic plan. So some of the feedback that we received right out of the gate was, it's a long mission statement, and maybe if we made it a little bit more concise, it would more deeply resonate with people. And so we took that to heart, and we got that feedback from the strategic planning committee. We got it from the board, got it from leadership. And so we took the original statement, which you see on the left, and the proposed statement, which is on the right. Still conveys what the county's purpose is, but very clearly without a lot of extra words.
You can say that again. Not opposed.
So I'll keep going. If you have questions, please stop me. And we can go ahead.
I'm sorry, Michelle. I will be taking questions after the presentation.
Sounds great. Perfect.
Because we'll let you get through the presentation, and then I would ask everybody to save their questions.
Perfect.
Thank you.
The county didn't currently have a vision statement, and so we drafted one. And this was the collective work of everyone who participated in the process. The idea that you're a hub of vitality, and recognizing what we heard from all of the different people that participated in the process about natural spaces and high quality services, and also being a place where people can thrive. These are the guiding principles. Again, these did not exist before, and these were derived from many conversations, lots of conversations about what do those bolded words need to be, and then what do they really mean? And so the statements that you see there are the articulation of what we mean by accountability, what we mean by diversity and inclusion, what we mean by leadership, and what we mean by quality. So all those are the pieces that will communicate to the community. This is what matters to us. This is how we're going to go about carrying out our mission and pursuing our vision. And this is what you can expect when you interact with the county. So through our process, I ended up identifying 6 strategic priorities, and these are the focus areas that offer the opportunity to make progress towards that vision that we articulated a couple of slides ago. These are the 6 areas that everyone identified as the focus for achieving that vision. And so there are the areas of community well-being, fiscal responsibility, a thriving economy, a safe community, environmental stewardship, and mobility. And what you see as the statements right next to the bolded words are the actual goal statements. Those are the outcomes we are trying to achieve in each of those 6 areas. And they are meant to be kind of broad, longer term outcomes that you can measure and say, okay, if we are truly creating a community where well-being of our residents is being experienced, what does that look like? And so the goal statement articulates that. So I will now walk you through each of those 6 areas, and I will show you the objectives that we have identified. And one thing I will just like to say right away is that we have developed performance measures so the county can measure its progress in each of these areas. We have a little bit more work to do on those. So that's why they're not being presented today, but they're very, very close. And we will be sharing those with the board when we share the strategic plan with them very soon, in a couple of weeks. So the first one, community well-being. This is about recognizing the strength of partnerships and all of the different components that have to come together to create a community where people can live well. And that it is in recognition of the fact that the county plays a role in that, but it doesn't act on its own. And it takes all of those other entities and partnerships to make that work. So I'm going to show you 2 slides that show the objectives that we identified for community well-being and to achieve that goal. So providing services equitably, helping families and individuals access services that will help reduce poverty and lead them to better pathways, supporting divorced and never married families to be able to have a good life and reduce adverse impacts that can often happen in those circumstances. The last one there, developing a funding strategy that allows the ease of use so that people can get what they need through all of the different partner agencies and services that are available in the community. The next set, developing a strategy to really help older adults in the community so they can have rich lives, right? So it will improve their outcomes and support them in aging in place in the community. The second one, really important, adult protective services, making sure that vulnerable adults in the community are cared for well. The third one there, really increasing community awareness around the services that are available. And then finally, that safety net, making that safety net available for older adults and people with disabilities, making sure that's solid. The next area is fiscal responsibility. This is about really maintaining what the county has had in place for a very long time. Strong fiscal stewardship, really wanting to make sure that is retained and even gets better in the future.
Michelle, may I interrupt you for one moment?
Yes.
We lost quorum, so we have to, I have to do something to get quorum back. Under the authority of the county board rules, I appoint member Paula Garcia to serve as a temporary member of this committee to establish quorum. Thank you. You may proceed, Michelle.
Thank you. So these 3 objectives, one is to recognize that the COVID-19 era funding sources are sunsetting, and it's important to look at the budget implications of that and figure out how you're going to either sustain or sunset programs and services that were started during that period, and do that very intentionally. Understanding how you can maintain full compliance with all kinds of policies and as you are using federal and state funds, and to do that very transparently and so that the community knows how those funds are being utilized. And then the third one there, implementing a new ERP system that's going to allow you to really manage your fiscal resources more effectively. That'll be a big project for the county, but an important one that will modernize all of the things that are related to your fiscal stewardship. Oh, this one is don't look at this. Don't look at the title slide. I missed that. This should be fiscal responsibility. These are the additional objectives under that. It's leveraging the opportunities to increase civic engagement. Wow, there's a, did I go backwards? I did.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, like, where are we?
There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
I-
No, I was
I
like, no, you're
figured it out.
Right on here, I promise.
Here is the next slide of objectives. Annually evaluate the areas of interdepartmental efficiency. So looking to consolidate and find cost savings. That's a good sign and a good ongoing effort to make towards fiscal stewardship. Evaluating human resources. This is all about creating a culture and a organization that manages and recognizes performance. This is all about attracting, retaining, developing talent so that you can have all that you need in all of your departments and that you have succession planning in place. The fourth one is about really trying to find whatever ways you can to diversify your revenue stream for your general fund. That way you can manage fluctuations as they happen. And that you have economic cycles, and the county's funding is impacted by that. And then finally, retaining metrics around the county's bond rating so that you can have the best debt service, debt management that you can possibly have as you pursue large infrastructure projects. Thriving economy. This is about making sure that you can have an economy and that balance of regulatory environment that allows for economic growth. So here is about partnering with Choose DuPage, Convention and Visitor Bureau to really support both existing businesses, but also new businesses and working to diversify the economy. The second one is about supporting local businesses and encouraging the use of those local businesses by the county as it does its work. Third one there is about incentivizing private developers around the area of affordable housing, recognizing that's an area of need, and you can't do that alone as a county. You've got to figure out how to leverage all of the available resources in the community to meet that need and that demand. The final two under thriving economy, educating the developers about what is available to them, to work with the authority that's there, and to increase particularly workforce housing units. Part of having a thriving economy is having the workers that you need, and part of having the workers that you need is having places for workers to live that is close to where their employment is. And then finally, trying to work in those key sectors through workforce development programming, and doing that with the partner organizations that are part of DuPage County's effort at workforce development. The fourth priority is safe community. And this is it's preserving the safe practices and investments that you've made and enhance them as needed to maintain that sense of safety that people have enjoyed for a very long time in DuPage County. Part of that safety is making sure that people can travel safely, whatever mode they take, whether it's walking or bicycling or on roads, and making sure that that network of transportation is safe for people. Promoting emergency preparedness, recognizing that you are being affected by natural disasters and other kinds of hazards that people need to be ready for, and people can be safe if they know how to prepare. And the third one, really focusing on all of the animal control components that is part of the county mission, so that people don't have to worry about, is something going to happen by encountering an animal in the community. The management of cybersecurity, you know that this is on the rise. Cyber attacks, we read about them every day. And this is making sure the county's IT infrastructure is where it needs to be to protect data, but also to protect service delivery. So the county does not reach at any point where it can't deliver services to the community because of a cyber attack. The second one there, really investing in those resources that will allow you to have that critical infrastructure that will support everything: public safety, citizen engagement, services, emergency management, everything that the county does. And then finally, working with the municipal water utilities in the county and also with federal officials to make sure that you have a safe water supply and that the cost of that to homeowners is as low as it can be. Fifth priority, environmental stewardship. This is all about preserving the natural environment that's there, recognizing their impacts of climate change, and recognizing those implications for public health, wanting to have a resilient community that can respond so that the environment will be able to provide what people people need. So the first one is working to improve the funding stability for the stormwater management program, recognizing that it is experiencing the impacts of climate change. And then creating that stormwater stream bank stabilization around water quality and making sure that you have a watershed that's available for many generations to come. Reconvening the Green Government Council so that they can establish the next sustainability plan and continue to make progress under Cool DuPage, which is already in place. The fourth one on the next slide, reducing waste to the landfill. Every local government, I think, is focused on that right now and looking at how can we compost and work with commercial food providers to reduce that waste that goes into the system. Advancing facility projects and fleet investments so that it lowers emissions and that you can improve efficiency over time. And then finally, investing in those technology solutions that will allow you to optimize your performance so you can do better infrastructure planning and execution and enhance all the sustainability of everything that the county owns and manages. And then finally, the sixth area of mobility. This is about the transportation network. It's about all the modes that people use to get around the county and wanting to make sure that those are easy to use and that people have a mode of choice that works for them. And so we have 5 objectives here. One is just basic maintenance of infrastructure. Let's keep our roads and our sidewalks and our bridges in good repair. So again, they're well maintained for generations to come. We want to expand your bike and pedestrian network. People have asked for that. And we also want to imagine the transit system in the county. How can we move people who would rely on public transportation, move them around better and provide them with more service? And then the infrastructure to look at how you can get smarter traffic control, better management of traffic, traffic calming, and to reduce traffic congestion and all of those new technologies that are available to do that. And then finally, the investment of PACE, pulse routes between DuPage County and neighboring counties, so that again will allow for that good traffic management that will help to move people around better and more efficiently and reduce congestion. So I will stop there. Ask for questions, ask for comments. If you want me to go back to anything, let me know, and I can slide back on the slide deck to look at something in more detail.
All right, thank you. Member Guston, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. When you went through the new mission statement,
Yes.
and then went into the proposed vision statement, I'm wondering, other communities do typically put kind of a financial, language in there where, it's more, you know, they include kind of more of a financial fiscal responsibility, so that we're not raising taxes to accomplish our vision and our goal. So there is more of a, you know, type of language to sustain by raising taxes or by cutting services. Usually the two things that make something sustain. And I guess I'm wondering if there could be an addition there to add a financial component of it to make sure that we are continuing to be financial good stewards of people's money and providing high quality services, of course, which we do.
Member Yoon?
Thank you. So I have a question and a comment. So this is an opportunity for us to potentially add things, take out things, is that right? Just
Yes, that's,
Yep.
we're looking for direction.
okay, great. So I really appreciate the presentation, and I think these objectives are really great. I really love the vision statement and the new guidelines, the you know, including diversity and inclusion, which is obviously very important to me and also to Chair Covert, but and many other people on the board. There is one thing that I saw missing from Safe Community. And considering, you know, it says here, implement strategies to increase rabies compliance and to reduce bites and prevent negative interactions with wildlife. I thought that was interesting that we included this, but we didn't include anything with regard to gun safety, with regard to suicide prevention, with regard to secure storage to make sure that children aren't getting, you know, unsecured firearms or bringing them to school. And then red flag laws, promotion of that, considering that is something that DuPage County has been doing and it's been increasing over time. Just because, you know, last week we had like the 4th and 5th anniversary of the Aurora shooting at the office building. So I'm wondering if this is something that ever came up and if it would be something that we could include as part of the objectives. In addition, it's because, you know, 2 years ago, there was a bill that was passed that the state is going to be doing a public health promotion with regard to secure storage. And I would really love the county to be a partner in that endeavor.
Jason, did you have something to say?
Yes, member, and Michelle, please correct me if I forget anything. The reason that wasn't specifically touched on was with this strategic plan, we were limiting it to with the departments here at the county board has oversight over. Some of the things you're indicating, you know, the mental health component is the health department, which is included in their strategic plan. We were trying not to step on some of those toes. Secondary to that, some of the enforcement matters are other elected offices that do it, and that they would govern themselves on that one. So it's tough for the county board departments to do a few. So we tried to clearly delineate it to resources that the county board has purview under. I know we have, or you guys as the board have the authority to obviously allocate funds appropriately to these other elected offices, but that's kind of how this plan was tailored based off of that. I mean, I know with public safety, we did have some initial thoughts about, you know, more prosecution or you know, in regards to state criminal safety, just based off of what we had, though, we were trying to tailor it to those specific needs. Now, from a legislative standpoint, I know we have those in our agendas and that, which is perfectly fine. But I think that now, Michelle, please correct me if I know we went off best practice is the reason we came to this conclusion. But please, if you have anything else.
No, that is exactly the reason why it's not there. But I did take a note of it to capture your input. This is often the case with county governments where, you know, the sheriff is a separately elected official and is not, the county board does not have control or oversight of the resources for that entity. And so oftentimes, it's not in every case, but oftentimes issues around gun safety do not end up in a county's strategic plan. It doesn't mean that it's not an important topic, but it is the reason that Jason described.
Member Garcia.
Yeah, and thank you for that discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Member Evans has her hand up. Just want to let you know.
Member.
She's on Zoom.
Oh, I
know that.
I would not.
Oh, Member Evans is on Zoom.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Jason. I really appreciate it, because my two questions were safe community, where is anything mentioned about law enforcement? Well, that explains it right there. So, because I was like, that doesn't, okay. And same thing with community well-being, there's nothing about health department. So we don't even put in there because we're doing the appropriations for them, because we just want to delineate, what the word is?
Delineate.
Delineate.
Sorry, I was like, which new word are we going?
I do that all the time. Okay, specifically what the departments here in the county deal with. Okay, so that's, I just wanted to get major, but I really appreciate that explanation. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
I'm gonna go member Guston and then member Evans.
Anything we have jurisdiction over, basically, and they set their own policies, we set ours. One of the things, the community well-being section on page 14, ignore that, because I just read it and it only applies to the DuPage Care Center, correct? That's all we're looking at on
Which
that one.
particular community well, no, there's community services department as well as care center, but there's other components that you can
Okay,
say.
because I just
department.
wanted to make sure that, you know, our obviously older adults and those with disabilities, but our young residents get help and care, and our veterans too. So that portion of it, I think, is pretty self-explanatory, but I hope that we will go down that road. Quick question for staff. Does the county have do we have financial principles, like how much we need to have in reserves and
Yes,
how much debt we have, and we won't go any higher than that, and
So
what we do if that's the case?
Yes, each year before you guys pass the fiscal budget, it's the DuPage County fiscal policy.
Mhm.
Within that policy, and I apologize, I do not know those numbers off the
No,
top of my
that's
head.
fine. I don't know.
But yes, in that it is your guiding principles of what the reserve amount is, or the expectation of the board is, as well as everything you just stated. It is that part of that financial plan.
Okay, and then the other thing we kind of talked about environmental issues at our other meeting. And I'm wondering, under the environmental provision within here, we're hearing a lot about wetlands and people realizing that they didn't know they had a wetland, and then they're getting caught with a lot of cost related to that. I'm wondering, is that something that, like a grant program, or is that something we can kind of formulate in here that we would help support wetlands because it's an environmental issue, and maybe later talk about how we might do that to promote wetlands, and then also to protect what we have there. And again, it's gray, but just kind of.
What I would say is I believe under the environmental stewardship, there is an objective there specific to stormwater. Right. And some of the performance measures that come out of that, which we're finalizing some numbers, we didn't want to give exact numbers. Mm-hmm. We'll have more in that regards to some education component, as well as, you know, working to ensure either stormwater maintenance or things along those lines. So I think that'll touch on exactly what you're asking about, but that the broader objective about stormwater management, that would fall within it with the wetlands.
Great, thank you.
Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, Michelle, I'd really like to thank you for all the work you put into this. I can't believe you were able to boil it down to the very clear report that the plan that you had. I do want to say for the mission statement, I love that you cut it down to one, you know, cohesive sentence, but I was wondering if we can even bring it in even closer as far as one unified county. I had just kind of taken my own stab at it and said DuPage County provides exemplary services to make our county a desirable place to work, live, work, and raise a family. So instead of kind of, I think we are a conglomeration of many different communities, but if we want a county mission statement, maybe we can just take out the making the communities and just call it, you know, make our county a desirable place. That way we're being a little more cohesive, and we're not, I feel like some different communities do different things. You know, I'm from Naperville, so we do things our own. Member Guston knows we do things our own way, and it might not be the same as other communities, but we're all one county. So that's the only comment I had on that. And then, oh, sorry, I'll let I think somebody was going to speak.
I think you're good. I think that was a side comment.
So we were just saying that it said that already, but,
Member Garcia.
yeah, again, thank you so much for this very inclusive work on this. Quick question, and it might be a question for actually Member Rutledge. What is a Green Government Council? You know what that is?
I don't.
We're gonna make one up.
Let's
have one though.
Well,
Sounds
did it
good.
say on here? I'm gonna have to find it in here to restart the.
Might be a joy.
It was
I was gonna say, I'm gonna defer to Cheryl. She's
What did it
aware of
say?
it.
It was an advisory committee we had years ago, and it had, advocates for the environment, staff, business leaders. It was like kind of a committee, because we didn't have an environmental committee years ago.
Oh, so
But it was,
prior to
it was
that.
more, it wasn't just county board members, it was, members of the public were on it too. And it was kind of like an advisory group to like Joy before Kay, before the environmental committee. So, I mean, I think it's a worthy goal to look at the membership because you're pulling in different aspects
I
of the
agree.
community.
I agree.
Politicians
Yeah,
or-
no, okay.
Right.
Thank you for the history.
Madam Chair, if I may, I wasn't finished yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Member Evans,
Can't
go
see
ahead.
you.
Yes, please. Continue.
I had just one other comment there was a part where it said divorced or divorcing and never married families. Can we just say families because it doesn't really matter? If they're married, they still need support. Or if, some couples are married and they really shouldn't be married, but they still need the same support. I don't see the differentiation.
Can I just say that objective is specific to the services offered over at the Family Center.
Yeah.
Those are court mandated services that fall under the purview of our administration. So that's why it's specific like that. I mean, I don't know that, I think we could certainly remove that language, but just know that, that our primary responsibility there or our primary initiative related to that objective would be the support that's provided at the Family Center.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. I just didn't know what it was referring to,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna call member you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So also, I think Patty mentioned this too about veterans. Don't we also have veterans underneath the county board and?
So not any longer. The Veterans Assistance Commission, as of January 1st of this year, right? Or was
Well,
it
they were
last?
always independent, but
Yeah.
they're really
They're
independent.
very independent now. They're not technically under
State
the
law.
purview of the county board.
Right.
There was a change in state statute with that, yes.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean we don't assist accordingly. They
Right.
happen to be as well, but it is not, the VAC itself is not under our jurisdiction, though, I mean, you guys technically approve their budget, I believe is the correct, right? Is that, or is it the levy that you do? There is a component that there's a financial component, I believe, but that's it.
Okay.
It may truly be cut. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on that exact statute change, so I apologize.
All right, I actually had a couple of quick questions. My first question is, it goes back to page 11 under strategic priorities. Michelle, are these in order of importance or priority, or it's just, okay?
No,
Is
No.
there an order of importance that we need to work on first or focus on first and then it's
No.
just everything together? Okay. Okay, and then
all, they are all important, and all of these objectives underneath each priority, you will have some of them going on parallel tracks. And one of the things I'll go back and point out, this was a slide that you didn't see because I was talking about it before that we were able to get the presentation up. But we need to, we need to assist the county in the development of an implementation plan to support this strategic plan. And so the implementation plan will lay out more of the sequencing of the different objectives. Some of them have interdependencies associated with them. So for example, you have to do one before you can pursue the other, right? Some critical dependencies. So it won't lay out the priority, it will lay out more the sequencing and what does the county have the capacity to do. So the objectives are all objectives that can be completed in the 5-year time frame of the strategic plan, but you won't be doing all of them at once.
okay, and then thank you. And then my other concern is I'm looking at environmental stewardship, and I'm also thinking about maybe connecting the Board of Health with environment, because In our environmental committee, it has come to our attention the dangers of plastic in our bodies and how it disrupts. Studies have shown that it disrupts our hormones, and there's microplastics in our water bottles, and there are other environmental factors that contribute to poor health in people. And we want to keep our DuPage residents healthy. So maybe if there could be some type of sort of a partnership with environmental and the Board of Health and legislative together to work on improving people's health, or at least not deteriorating it more because of our environmental impact and factors.
Michelle, can I make one suggestion on with that?
Sure.
So we are doing those performance metrics. We can look at it maybe, and Michelle, correct me if this, we can look at it from the perspective of allocating resources for education, resources of that matter, you know, putting something in that regard, using it more as the output, because I think that may fall under some of our community health and all things. So we can make it an objective or not objective, performance output.
I think we can. Yes, great point.
All right, thank you. Member Gustin.
Oh, thank you. And maybe Jason might have a suggestion on this. You know, we're doing the ad hoc housing committee right now. And on page 20, we talk about thriving economy and objectives of educating developers about resources available through the state and federal government, which those are obviously subsidized housing, including IDA, and help them connect to available resources to increase the number of workforce housing units built, which would be, and preserved, which would be subsidized housing. But we don't talk anything about market workforce housing for those individuals who aren't going to be subsidized by state or federal funds, but may be able to have some kind of funding from the county to be able to assist in a housing. So I'm wondering if there's you know, an appetite for it, to add something on that, particularly because of all the work that's being done by staff and the committee on that particular item.
So I was gonna say, if you go one objective back, there it says incentivizing private builders to build affordable housing by granting density bonuses and other variances, providing land and necessary.
I withdraw that recommendation because it's right there.
Yeah, so hits it right on the head for you, ma'am. So yes, I can do that for you, Patty. Not a problem.
I'm reading too fast. That is just the problem.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
No, you're spot on. We definitely, it specifically calls out the ad hoc committee on affordable housing for that exact reason. So thank you. That's a very good point. And I'm glad that we're on the same page with that. Perfect.
All right, thank you for all the wonderful questions, Michelle. That was an excellent presentation. Very good job. Thank you for helping our county with this.
You're welcome.
And with that,
Madam Chair, I want a little direction, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have all this done. The only thing is we're just finishing some performance measures. That's, I will say, staff is leading that because it's our specific programs and we know the numbers and the data. So we're gonna finish that up. But my goal and Barry Dunn's goal would be that we would, in about 2 weeks, try to have I'm gonna call it a final. It'll be whatever you guys tell me it is, but I'm gonna call it a final for you guys to approve and then send to the finance committee and board, sorry, just county board. There's no financial component. So based off commentary today, I think these are very mild adjustments. I don't think that anyone's truly objecting to the actual content or anything like that. So if you guys are comfortable, and Madam Chair, I look at you guys for, if you're good with that, we're gonna put it into a more formal finalized document with some pretty pictures and colors and stuff, which Barry Dunn has already shown me an initial draft and it looks beautiful, but we're not there yet. I wanna go through this. So if that's comfortable for you, I'd like us to meet on, I believe it's the 5th, to pass for, and I apologize, I don't have a calendar in front of me, whatever that first Tuesday in March is. To pass it at that time with these adjustments as well as performance measures, if you guys are comfortable with
I'm
that.
comfortable with it. Is everybody else?
I think it's very inclusive. I think it looks good.
Perfect, thank you. That's the direction I needed.
Okay, all right, thank you. And with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to receive and place on file the draft of 2024 strategic plan.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And can I say just a few words? I would really like to acknowledge the county for its work. Consultants don't do these plans. We facilitate the process, and it takes really dedicated staff and elected officials and volunteers and advisors to make a strategic plan as good as this one. So I just want to say what a pleasure it has been to work with the county, and that we, as your consultants, are really, really pleased with your result. And that it took a lot of people and a lot of effort and a lot of focus and attention to get it to this point. So I want to thank Jason for his leadership, and also everybody that participated in the process. It's a solid plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Those are wonderful, very kind comments. Thank you to everybody. I know it was a lot of work for you guys to be out here for 4 hours at that last meeting. And I do appreciate every single one of you in this committee and all our board members. Thank you so much for taking out your time and helping with this. So we are going to thank you, Michelle, so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go on to old business. Does anybody have old business? Any new business? All right, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, any second? Okay, we are adjourned.